welcome to Blind Shovel, an arts and music podcast. Today I speak with designer and furniture maker Jon Chao. Enjoy.
Yo.
I think we're good.
All right, cool. Less windy?
It's definitely less wind in your house.
Okay.
That's for sure.
Tight.
Do you have a studio in your house?
No, dude, I'm like...
What's going on?
Oh, my living situation's wild. I'm kind of just like floating around tremendously right now.
Literally.
Oh my God, yeah. No, like personal like place of living at the moment. I was attending this woodworking residency up north, and that was like a 9-month program. So I got like a subleaser for 9 months for my spot in LA, but then I didn't make it too far in the program. Only got like a month in, and then dropped out basically.
Really? Why is that?
Yeah. Oh, long story, but essentially, like, well, not too long of a story, I guess. But I don't know, like going into the program, it's a very intensive woodworking program called School of Fine Woodworking up in Fort Bragg, which is like the Mendocino coast.
Okay.
Like leading up to that, I decided to take on this pretty crazy project that involved me making 10 chairs in like a span of a month. Okay. And then like that kind of burnt me out pretty hard going into the program. And then once I got into the program, this guy that I was renting a house from, like a back house from, we like just did not vibe very well. And that caused a lot of tension. And, you know, like I got pretty homesick while I was there, and yeah, I was just not feeling it. Wasn't mentally like there, as well as just like so burnt out of woodworking at that point. I think I like just like worked way too hard to go into that program, because it's pretty intense, man. It's 6 days a week, 9 to 5 of just pure woodworking, and only made it like a month in, and it just like
what would you be working on, your own work or someone else's work?
Well, I think eventually you progress into your own projects, but the first month while I was there, it's all pretty like laid out, like we do this first, we learn this first, and then we make these certain tools and so forth and so forth, which is fine. But I mean, I don't know, I think I kind of threw in the towel before we got to the point where it was more like self-driven projects.
Are you comfortable throwing in the towel, or did you feel shame?
It was a mixture. Definitely shame for sure. I was like, oh, like, dude, I had like everything lined up, everything was set up, and then like just like broke my back trying to get there, and then just like the guy that I was living with was kind of just like pushed me out. Or I mean, I know we kind of both pushed each other out, but you know, I was basically kind of homeless at a certain point. So I was like, I don't really need to be here at this point. Like, I'm not trying to, I didn't have enough like fight in me to really try to persevere through it. Nor did I really care too much about it at that point. Was this your biggest towel ever thrown in to date? Gosh, I mean, I don't know if it's a big towel if I didn't put too much like I didn't put it much on the pedestal, to be honest.
Yeah. No, I'm just curious.
I mean, it was definitely difficult, dude. I spent a lot of time like just like staring out into the ocean by myself quite a lot.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, Fort Bragg and the Mendocino coast is like a beautiful place, but it's also like really boring. Like, there's not, I mean, it's a small town. There isn't much to do. which is good and bad for the program. Because it's like pretty isolated, but they're just, you're surrounded by the same people for 9 months. And I think that prospect kind of just like really did not sit well with me.
I don't know if you're willing to speak to it, but I'm kind of fascinated what I could learn about you based on why you and this dude couldn't get along.
I mean, one, it's like, I think it was a generational thing. Mm-hmm. He was like in his 60s or his 70s or 80s. I made a pretty bad impression, I guess. Well, I mean, I would say, I guess I made a pretty bad impression in general. Like, I didn't give him like rent money on the first day, and he had to remind me. And at that point, I was just so scatterbrained at that point, just because I had to like move all my things from my apartment into a car, drive up to to Northern California, and then just like the day before, even packing up all my things and stuff. Like, I just finished a 10-chair job, and then I was just like, my brain was pretty much mush at that point. I was like half a person.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And then like he just took that the wrong way, and it just got kind of worse and worse, because my general personality when it comes to like people that I don't necessarily like vibe well with is usually just being kind of distant and like, yeah. So, I mean, he took that the wrong way, and like the straw that broke the camel's back was me moving the scaffolding in front of his house, and he took that pretty bad. And then for me, in my head, I'm just like, it wasn't that big of a deal, but all right, whatever. This is like your house. So yeah, just like communication and stuff like that.
So you're coming off some drama.
Yeah, but I mean, that's over now. That's like,
it's funny because your work is pretty peaceful. So I think it's just funny to hear it. There's kind of like, whether genuine or performative, there's like a Zen quality,
Oh yeah. I mean, I guess so. I mean, I try. I mean, I think like the work that I make is generally like something that's trying to like go towards that. It's not necessarily like something that I have, it's just more, like the work that you make is kind of just idyllic, and like it lives in this space where in like, maybe like in the future, or just like in another dimension, or just a general like different world,
Yeah. No, there's a serenity, there's a peacefulness, there's a tastefulness, there's kind of the color scheme is very natural.
That's good. Yeah, I mean, this is good for me because I mean, I don't necessarily talk about my work, or nor do I have like, because you don't really necessarily know me as like I
don't know you at all.
Yeah, exactly, as a person. So this is like interesting to hear what you have to say, like trying to understand who I am as a person based off of my work.
Well, I think, and this hilarious story you're telling me, but I think we traded something. I got screen print. I don't know what I gave you, but
you gave me the blanket.
Word.
Forgot which blanket, but yeah, I still use it.
It's good that you can't even remember it and you still use it. That's a good sign. Yeah. So I'm still trying to process. Can you go back to this woodworking? Is this like a residency, or is that the wrong way to think about it?
No, it's not a residency. It's a full-on school. It's like a part of the Mendocino College.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you just banned? Is there an image of you? It says banned.
Oh, no. Because the funny thing is, like, after I left, another person left right after me. So, I mean,
so you're a trailblazer.
There was drama for sure.
Did you go to art school?
I mean, yes, I went to art school, but it's not like an art center or anything like that. It's more, I went to UC Santa Barbara, and then just went into the art program there. So it's hard to say if it's like an art, if you consider that an art school or not.
No, that's fair. I'm just trying to understand your institutional endurance or repulsion. Like if you like that environment, or or
No,
if you just
I love the like educational environment for sure.
Mm-mm-mm.
But yeah,
That's
that
crazy
program
because
just didn't work
I
out
would
for me.
never fucking go back to school, and it's not because I don't like school, actually, um, but the quote unquote environment is not something I think I'm particularly keen on at the moment. So
I think I'm more attracted to it because of just like facilities and just space, having
sure,
space. I mean, that's
yeah,
like the
yeah,
only
yeah.
appeal to it. I don't really care much about like talking to like instructors about work, to be honest.
Well, your work
Uh,
doesn't need to be talked about. It's pretty much nothing to talk about. I mean that as a compliment.
uh,
No, I mean that.
explain that more. Yeah,
Oh, I mean
yeah.
the material and the craftsmanship and it all speaks for itself. There's nothing to be. What are we going to talk about? I feel like it's all there. This is a good thing about, in my opinion. I don't want
Okay.
to. I don't want to like. Yeah, yeah. I'm not terribly fond of discussing the conceptual framework of visual art. I think it's usually a crutch. It can not be a crutch. It can be something that augments the work. But for me, when it's all there, this is a compliment. And I think the attention you give to the objects, and this is me seeing it online, right? It carries enough weight for me to think it's an important object.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's plenty of art. There's plenty of art where you could say, I don't know why you made this or why should I care. Um, but I think the more someone sacrifices their time and energy into an object, the more the viewer understands that and knows this is a noteworthy material.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Do
Yeah.
you like if you had to talk about your work? I like the idea of elevator pitches because
Oh, I hate the idea of elevator pitch.
exactly that's why I like it.
That substance is like hardcore anxiety. I mean, I think that's what was the biggest like big downfall, at least for me in like art school, is just trying to like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
find a rhyme or reason about why I made this work or like how deep can I like conceptually go about it when it's like I don't know if it's necessarily even that deep to begin with. I mean, I think for me it all kind of comes down from like a more emotional visceral response than more like a brainy conceptual like
No, no, yeah, yeah, for sure.
reaction to it. Um,
No, for me, an elevator pitch has nothing to do with art speak or any conceptual stuff. It comes down to speaking to literally like Joe Schmo who just stepped into an elevator and he asks you what you do, and you go, "I make art," and he says, "Well, what kind?"
Dude, that's even like hard to say for like to anyone, to be honest. I
I
think
know.
like I had such a hard time even saying that I was an artist, and then like I still grapple with that idea. Like I don't know. I think say consider it's hard to say. It's just like
All right,
when I
so
feel the mood is right, like oh yeah, yeah, I'm an artist, but I also make furniture. But
right, right. So
sometimes when it's
you
like
mean
oh no, I'm
you?
actually just like a furniture maker, then I am an artist.
Okay, so that's what you would go by, furniture maker.
I think as like an actual occupation, like my 9 to 5 would be furniture maker, but yeah, the art thing kind of appears when it wants to.
Is that your 9 to 5?
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, I kind of I work with a friend, so my hours are kind of um, like made on my own. But yeah, I would say my day job is furniture maker.
And you can live off that.
I hope so.
Well, you're living off that.
I'm living off of it at the moment as we speak.
How long have you been doing that?
Dude, a long time, man. Like
Really?
almost I would say I mean definitely since I've been in LA. So probably like maybe like 7 or 8 years at this point.
And this is something you stumbled upon, or you've been working in wood for longer than that time?
No, I total by chance. I mean I was like so I came to LA and like before I came to LA, I was working in SF at like a commercial screen printing shop, just like screen printing shirts and stuff. And that was kind of
That sucks.
Oh my god, probably not. Yeah, it sucked. Um, but because I mean, I thought I was gonna like, oh, because I kind of like um focused heavily on like screen or printmaking when I was in school.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, maybe I can try to be like a fine art printmaker or something like that. But I just like went to commercial screen printing, which wasn't a great move. And then I came to LA thinking I was going to try to pursue the same thing, but like just didn't happen to get any luck with that. And then, just searching Craigslist nonstop, I found an ad for like woodworking, like entry level woodworking. And it turned out to be with this like fine furniture woodmaker or furniture maker. And that kind of just like started the entire thing. And yeah, it's weird, man, because I feel like at a certain point, like I wanted to get out of it pretty bad. But I mean, I don't know. It kind of like I almost would say that I like pigeonholed myself into like this where I am at the moment.
Well, I don't see that, from the outside perspective. I don't see it. I don't see you in a hole. No. I'm just saying, I'm saying from as an outside perspective, I've seen much more pigeonholed individuals. I
just been in it for a while, so just like it's kind of like maybe I should try to do something new or like reinvent myself or like find a new path. But I mean, I don't know. I think being and living in LA, it's kind of like it's fairly easy to find a job when you have like these kind of like vocational skills of just like woodworking, like knowing how to build. Like it leads itself to like being able to find a job, which is nice.
For sure. Seems like I know some people out there who do similar work, and it sounds like you can actually make decent money, which is awesome. And the clients, like one of the harder things with the fabrication we do out here is you're kind of dealing with some like suburban New Jersey taste, and it can be real hard to kind of end up with a product you like and the client likes.
Yeah.
So I can imagine working out there, especially with your aesthetic, that there's probably some cohesion there. And even when you speak about the printmaking background, that makes a lot of sense to me because I studied illustration, and I always thought the printmakers had a very keen eye and appreciation for material. And and even their facility it smelled good to me, and there was acid around, and it was just like a more interesting world than, the illustrators were just using like tablets, and it was very pragmatic what we were doing. But there's a romance, I thought, at the time at least, to printmaking. And I can see that in your practice, that there's also just a traditional orientation towards material.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like a strong lover of the craft. Like, yeah.
But what could you do? I mean, let's say you quit woodworking today. What could you do?
Dude, I wish I knew. Because I probably would be there right now. I don't know, man. I was just kind of I wanted to just kind of like not take any woodworking jobs and just kind of see what came about. And what came about was just like, I like started PAing for like a production company, and that was like kind of whatever. It wasn't the most fulfilling job.
I don't even know what that is. Producing what?
Like they were producing, like music videos and like commercials and stuff like that. And I was kind of just the guy at hand, like, oh, we need to get snacks. All right, I guess I'll go to the grocery store and get snacks.
Oh, okay. Like, yeah, that wasn't fulfilling.
It was fulfilling in the sense I was like, oh, this is very easy. But I don't know.
Yeah, easy usually is not fulfilling in the end.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I don't know, like woodworking wasn't fulfilling at a certain point either. I was like, man, I'm just freaking sanding tables all day.
Oh, sanding is not fulfilling. No. But do you like to get lost? Like, is this impulse to uh, move on to the next thing with no particular direction something that's appealing to you?
No, not really. It's like very anxiety inducing. But I mean, yeah, I don't know, man. It's just
So I caught you in a moment.
it caught me in the moment. No, I mean, this has like been a moment that's been there for a long time.
A long moment.
Yeah, but I think it was like with going to that school that I kind of dropped out of, like that was the moment where I was like, oh, I guess I should just kind of like really put my head down and like pursue this because like maybe this is where I belong, or like I was resisting something that I shouldn't be resisting.
Gotcha.
Like maybe this is my calling or whatever if you would say that, but like
Yeah, I'm cool saying that.
I just needed to see like something else or like experience something else.
You make the kind of work that I feel parents would be proud of. Is that?
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
No, I think parents are cool.
I mean, it's funny you said that because that reminds me. It's like this one time, like I think during my undergrad, we had like a final show or something, and like my friend's mom was like, "Oh, why don't you make work like him? Like this is I like this work." So it's like her mom, yeah, her mom said that. I was like, "Oh, I guess that's good, but that's like kind of fucked up to say to your kid."
Well, do your parents, are they proud of your work?
They're not too involved in my personal life, my artistic life.
That's interesting. Yeah, like
I think my work is kind of, or my life is a general mystery to my family.
Interesting. You like it that way?
I'm pretty private about my life. I mean, private in the sense that like, you know, I put what I put on Instagram, but I don't like necessarily tell everything, you know. I'm pretty reclusive for the most part.
That all makes sense. That all adds up.
Yeah, I'm a pretty not the necessarily the most open person, but like, you know, I'm chill. I proceed with some discretion when I move around.
Yeah, I have a friend and his parents like always know what he's working on.
That's crazy.
And I thought that was really interesting because I would work on a book for 3 years without my parents knowing, and then I would just show them the book, and I probably didn't like it if I had to guess. But we're probably just generally impressed by the endurance. But it's interesting. I understand that art is so much the part of my friend's life that it is logical that he would share it with his parents, who he was close with. I'm close with my parents, but I don't know why. It's just for me, it's like it's not a thing I'm interested in sharing in that way until it's done, I guess. Then I'm cool with it. But yeah, I understand the idea. It's a private impulse.
I mean, my practice in general is pretty private too, which is kind of like almost a deterrent for me because I don't have a like dedicated space to art making. Like pretty much all production stops.
What do you mean?
And like, if I don't have like space, like isolated space for art making, like a room or something like that, it kind of just like I don't. I'm just not in that headspace anymore at that point. And it's not like, I mean, I wish I were the type that had that type of discipline where like, you know, I could just draw anywhere I want.
Yeah, I got you.
You know what I mean? Where I'm like, no, I need to go to a space where like, if I'm going to go to this space, that means I'm going to be working on this.
No, that makes sense. And that's why it's interesting that it seems that I've caught you in at least a displaced or nomadic moment, because again, the work, it has that grounded quietness to it. And it's interesting to hear all this because, again, I think it's all there. I think it's all present, and I don't even. It doesn't surprise me anything you're telling me because the work is that expressive in a strange way.
Oh, it's really interesting. Because like it's interesting you say that because I feel like there's certain points in making the work. It's like I think my work is pretty simple for the most part. Like there's not too much bells and whistles to it. And there's moments where I'm like, I wish there were some more bells and whistles to it. But
yeah, but I think when we're so in our practice, we forget the myriad choices that could be made. So like there's thousands of decisions you could make when making anything. And just selecting a certain material says a lot about somebody. Or even the decision to work with wood is really telling. So it's pretty hard to hide, I find, in art. Because you make like 3 or 4 decisions and you kind of make them all the time as any artist, I think. And there's a thread that the outside viewer often sees that the artist doesn't because they're so intimately involved with it. Like if you love someone, there's a lot of complexity to them, but if someone doesn't know them, they judge them by like what they're wearing. And they get, they get information. It's just a different kind of information.
yeah, totally.
But I wonder what else it means, now that I'm looking at the work.
What are you looking at in particular?
Well, I look at your website and your Instagram, just perusing while I talk.
Right
there's like some tradition being carried that I don't quite understand or can't put my finger on. Like I said, there's like some quality of Zen or peace or balance. Do you have there's a type of spirituality, but it feels like non-specific to me.
That's good. I mean, yeah, totally. Like I think especially in the text pieces, there's definitely a lot of that lingers on just with the chosen, like the words that I decided to illustrate. But yeah, no, that's like a pretty big part of it. I think that's like my, that's the vehicle that I choose to express that kind of spirituality or it's kind of way of thinking, I guess. Because I don't know if there's any other way to really. Because I mean, I'm not like a musician. I think if I were a musician, it'd be easier. But
do you have an actual spiritual practice outside of art making, or this is your way of processing?
No, I think that's where I think the art is where I process most of that. I mean, there was a moment in college, when you're like experimenting, you get into that whole Zen spiritual religion.
You gotta
do it, man. What else is college for?
You gotta. What was it, Alan Watts?
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Alan Watts, Terrence McKenna, all that stuff.
Okay, so you're saying there's like a druggy slant to it. Yeah.
Oh, most definitely. But I mean, I also was raised in a pretty religious household that kind of carries itself over.
Which religion?
It's hard to say, man. I've been trying to think about this for a while, but my parents are, well, my dad or my grandpa, they're from Laos. They immigrated from Laos, and my grandpa is a shaman. So there was a lot of like rituals involved that I was growing up with. And then eventually my parents, they moved to some particular type of like Taoism or Buddhism. Mm-hmm. And that involved like going to temple quite often. So, I mean, that spiritual language has always been kind of ingrained in me. And I think that kind of holds itself or shows itself in the work.
What does it mean when your grandpa's a shaman, practically speaking? I mean, you said... I mean,
you just experience a lot of rituals, like weird chanting and burning stuff.
Just like I don't know much about shamanism, but he had his own rituals, or he was the carrier?
No, he was a carrier. There's like, in this particular type of shamanism, there's a lot of like chanting, a lot of like ancestral stuff, offerings, um, burning of paper, burning of offerings, and things of that sort. So,
And
yeah.
is there a moment like is common with a lot of religious upbringing where you thought it was lame?
Uh, Never thought it was too lame. I think
That's cool.
it got lame when was like forced to go to temple like
Yeah.
every day or like every week. Like that's when it came lame. You know, like when you grow up as like a teenager, pre-teenager, you start to rebel and whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, no, this isn't that cool. This is pretty lame. Um, but you know, I think once like I went to college and had some space from that, and then like had to like had some time to process all of that. I mean, it kind of made a little bit more sense to me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very fond of these kind of golden flag forms. The star and the well, I don't know. I guess it's a flag in the rock. Those are quite beautiful.
Oh yeah, that was a fun one. Wait, this flag in the rock?
I don't know.
Oh yeah.
Looks like a flag in a rock.
I mean, that looks
flag?
that looks like your little logo for your fabrication.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. See, we're on the same page here.
I think we are in some way. Not
aesthetically for sure.
We're probably in the same book, maybe not on the same page. If I had to guess.
I mean,
but where were you raised? Were you raised in California?
Yeah, dude, California born and raised. I think I'll probably die here too.
That's gnarly.
I don't know. I'm like super fortunate about it. I'm like,
of course,
I think stoked on it. But I was born in Oakland, California.
Oh god.
And then raised there, and then went to school in Santa Barbara, and then like spent after Santa Barbara, just came to LA. Been living in LA since.
Yeah, I lived in Oakland for like 5 years.
When was that?
Oof.
Like 2000 something.
Well, definitely 2000 something, based on how old I am. That's a big span, though. So I guess it was like probably 2011 to 2016 or something. I lived in Mr. Floppy's Flop House, if you're familiar with that. I won't get into it.
That sounds like something like in West Oakland, probably.
It was on the edge of. Yeah, I think you're right.
I just imagine. I feel like that's where most people end up finding themselves in.
Flopping
especially if you're an artist, you end up somewhere in West Oakland.
Yeah, fascinating place. Great, very happy not to be there anymore, but very grateful to have experienced that.
Yeah.
So that's interesting to think about you being from. Me and Lake Merritt. We connected.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
I had some moments.
Oh, for sure.
But now you're in LA, man.
Yeah, I'm in LA, man, dude. I definitely enjoy here a lot. I think it's also good. Like, when you're born and raised somewhere, you kind of try to resist.
Well, you don't.
Oh, well, I mean, I don't know. I think my upbringing and like my general life in Oakland wasn't like, it didn't make me too happy. I was like pretty depressed, I think, growing up, and like was always trying to think about like, oh, I need to get out of Oakland, and like kind of made it a mission to like never go back.
And where'd you go?
I mean, I'm in LA now.
Oh, that was escape?
Basically. It's like far enough for me to leave it behind.
Okay, I got you. But you're a California man. That's cool. I like that you're from where you're from and you like it and you accept it and you'll die there. I think that's good.
Yes. Are you born and raised in Jersey?
Yeah, but I went to school in Philly and then I moved to Oakland and then I came back to Jersey. Yeah. But for me, it took that period of rejection to appreciate it. Maybe because New Jersey's objectively less beautiful as a state in some ways. But you know, it's so obvious that it could be so much worse. And yeah, I mean, I don't want to get too deep into it, but I could not connect to the California. I don't know if it's a communication style. I mean, I made great friends that are still my friends out there, but I would say in general there was a different, to use a California term, energy or vibe that as a New Jersey man, it was tough at times.
Yeah, I can see that. I went to like a chair making program for a few weeks in Tennessee, and I feel like I might have rubbed some people the wrong way with my Californianness.
Yeah. No, I mean, we take for granted how gigantic this country is and how different people can actually be. Because we all speak the same language. So it's kind of an assumption of homogeny.
Yeah, totally.
But where your family's from? You said Laos?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't know. If I had to point it out on a map, I don't think I'm hitting it.
It's a landlocked country that is in between, like, it's Southeast Asia. It's between like Cambodia, Thailand, Vietnam.
Whoa, word. Have you been there?
No, I haven't. The furthest, I guess, Southeast Asia I went was basically Indonesia.
Okay. Do you want to go there? Does it matter?
I don't know if it really matters too much. I think yes, but it's not like a huge priority for me to go. I feel like some people kind of make it into like a mission. Like, I need to know about my past, or I need to know about where I'm from and who I am or whatnot. But I don't necessarily have. I think a younger me probably had that inclination, but present me is pretty content with where I am.
How old are you?
I am 32.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. How old are you?
35.
Well, it's not too far off.
You'll catch up.
Yeah. Just stay there at 35. I'll catch up.
Do you like being 32?
I think so. I think I've yeah, I think 30s is where it's at. I think growing up, I feel like there was so much pressure in your 20s to really make it and like be a superstar or like, you know, have something really going on for you. But I think that's all a fallacy.
Well, it depends what you want, you know.
I guess, but I mean, at least like within our like world of like art and whatnot, like it's
yeah,
really
it can be a curse. It can absolutely be a curse.
God, yeah.
But there's also one's natural expression and how it meets their society. So like, this is not an insult, but I don't think making what you make, you would ever be a superstar, quote unquote. You know, it's just like it's kind of more humble and quiet than like, you know, it's not sensational, and that is a compliment.
And I think like along with that, like just realizing that, you know, it's gonna move at its own pace.
Yeah. You're very willful in your 20s. You think, and I think that's cool. I appreciate that period of people's lives where they think they can manipulate reality easily. And, you know, it's, I don't think that's how it works. Even if you think you're doing it, you probably aren't.
I mean, it's until you reach your 30s, like, oh, okay, never mind. I mean, I'm just trying to be mellow now. I'm not, I don't think I'm the most ambitious person. Whether that be to like my demise or whatnot, but like, kind of going with the flow for the most part, I think recently.
Well, it seems like you are definitely ambitious. At least you were with this project of 10 chairs in a month. So you have,
I mean, the paycheck was good, dude. Like,
there's money. I thought you were just like
Dude, I'm not
prompting
just gonna
yourself.
kill myself to make 10 chairs for nothing. No, I mean all that whole job was mainly geared towards like um, funding the woodworking program.
Okay.
Like it was all geared towards that. Like, oh, I like need to make as much money as possible. Like, in addition to the scholarship that I received for the program, I needed some more money to like cover the last portion of my rent and whatnot. Because you're basically not working for 9 months.
Yeah.
So like a lot of that was like, okay, I need to really hustle pretty hard, but I think I hustled too hard and like really saw saw how that ended up, and like was like, I don't know if this is really worth it. Like I have not been that stressed in my entire life.
Wow. Well, hey, now you just got cash. You're flush with cash.
Yeah, I mean that ended up funding my trip to Indonesia, so you know, not too mad about the general outcome of how things went.
This is a non sequitur, but how much glue do you use in your woodworking?
Oh, a lot, dude. Everything's glued.
Yeah, this blew my mind when I first started doing it. I had no idea.
About using glue?
Yeah, yeah. It shocked me the amount of gluing and clamping that occurred.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
I was
what's your background in terms of like fabrication or woodworking?
There is none.
You just straight picked it up off of when you started the
Off the
your
floor.
business. That's
I
fucking
was I realized like, oh wow, you can't just draw all the time. Like it's like there's no real attachment to reality. I also started to question, look, for as much as someone might want to question this, it's like as a dude and trying to understand masculinity, until you build a chair or a thing out of wood, I can't really explain it, but I do believe there's something going on there. And I could just tell that drawing in and of itself was kind of stunting me in multiple ways. But as I started to learn how to build things and fix things and design things, like I just felt like a maturation process on every level. And so I approached it from that perspective. Like my friend, essentially my partner, essentially taught me how to do a lot of it. And he has an interesting background too. He was like a finance bro who like lived in China and then became like completely dissatisfied and just started doing woodworking on like cabinets, and he likes audio stuff, so building out custom speakers. And then I think we both had just realized that there was just some fit there. And yeah, for me, it was like was peripheral. It was like a spiritual concern or a maturity concern that I thought I couldn't get as to where I needed to be by just drawing, because there's such a detachment from reality with that. And
Yeah, totally.
and I thought, oh man, there's something really beautiful about the way that wood talks back and the way that building things humbles you every day in crazy ways that, hitting Control Z when you're drawing on a computer or drawing in general doesn't. And
Yeah.
and it changed a lot of my psychology. So I have no background. I went to school for illustration. I really didn't know much about building too much. I've always been interested in like designing things, but no, basically everything I've learned in the last 4 years. And like I said, through the help of my partner. So I think we both approach it from a kind of naive perspective. Like we didn't go to school for industrial design. We don't know the right way to do something. And I've always liked that. Even I love animation by people who don't know how to animate. And so obviously there's a great tradition to these things, woodworking. But yeah, we're just trying to find our way through it,
Yeah.
And
I mean, for the most part, you probably still know more than your clients do. But
I would hope. And I guess that's the asymmetry you're looking for here. But we have a CNC, so it's different. I don't know if you use CNC at all. Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. The last shop I worked at, it was all primarily CNC, which is good and bad. But that it only gets you so far. And sometimes the work always ends up kind of looking CNC. But
yeah, it's tricky.
But I mean, that stuff is like, it really pays for itself, man.
The machine?
Like the works that you get off of the CNC is what you get these crazy cabinet jobs, and most of it's all done in the CNC, and like you just paid your way for the CNC with that job.
That's precisely what happened. Yeah, it's wild. But no, you definitely lose something, and you kind of get stuck in this weird 2D axis of like puzzling things together. And it's pretty hard to obscure that at times. Mm-hmm. But in terms of your process, like these stools you made, what does that look like? Is it pretty simple? Like, could you describe it to most people? Are the tools readily available, or are you using?
Yeah, I mean, everything. I'm not doing like any crazy joinery by any means. I mean, the most crazy joinery was probably just like a dovetail joint, but even then, that's like not really that hard. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, I think the stools were all done with a lathe, at least like all the round parts, like the seats, that's all lathe and turned on the lathe. But I mean, everything else is just kind of like glued together. Maybe like a certain angle here or there, but yeah, this is all, I mean, for me, it's pretty straightforward. I don't think, because a lot of like the process, it just starts off with like a very vague drawing, and then I kind of just build it off of that.
Oh, so they all start with, would it be true that they all start with a drawing?
Yeah. Oh, most definitely. Like a very vague drawing, like just like the general, like maybe a leg here, maybe like there, the seat looks like this. And then like, I like to just build on the fly for the most part when it comes to that stuff. It's just easier. And like, I think my like woodworking career has like brought me to a point where like I don't need to stress this stuff too much. I feel like in the beginning, my boss that I had was pretty uptight about everything, like being perfect and like square and stuff like that, to the point where like that kind of like ingrained itself in my practice and caused me to like overly stress about things. And then like as I gradually went through the cycles of like going through different employers and working at different shops, I'm like, oh, this is like not that serious. Like it's like, well, not,
that's good that you started it off like that though.
It's not rocket science. Yeah, it's weird how my woodworking career kind of like progressed itself. Like at one point I was like, man, like I like started off in like super fine woodworking, and then like gradually just got like more heavily commercial, which like, each experience has its place,
Yeah, you learn different things.
Oh yeah, for sure. But like, and then gradually I kind of just found my personal way of practice, or like making things. And like I feel pretty confident for the most part. Really, yeah, I would hope so, considering how long I've been in the game for.
Right, but it sounds like you're trying to get out of the game.
I mean, I think I might be done resisting the game. I might just, I'm here for it now.
Yeah, I think you got to give up.
That's
give in.
I mean, like I was just talking to one friend about my whole woodworking fiasco of last year, where like going to that school, like essentially that kind of just prolong what was going to happen eventually, which is like, I mean, I'm like still not fully on board, but still basically opening up shop and like being a little bit more serious about my own production.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be cool. I mean, I mean, I'd like as much as like I kind of have like a weird sore spot with woodworking. I like, do love it. Like I think it's super fun. Um,
That's the best you're gonna do right there. There are no. You're gonna have a sore spot somewhere. You do anything long enough.
It's hard not to have a chip on your shoulder, and I think that's something that I had a lot of trouble really coming to terms with. But you know, it's better now.
So are these stools for instance, for sale?
Yeah, they are. I think I sold most of them.
And do you make duplicates of them? Are they like, what would you say? I don't know what the term would be for, like, you make one and then you would just keep making more on demand if there was a request, or do you value them as singular objects?
It's a good question. I think with my personal practice, it's hard for me to return back to something.
Yeah.
So for the most part, they're pretty singular, but you know, if there's, it's weird to say, like, if the price is right, you know, like I wouldn't mind. Like I'm not.
Is it weird? No.
Like I'm not attached to them being like one-offs or like unique pieces, but yeah, I mean, it's furniture. I don't necessarily see them as like sculptures per se. I mean, I think it'd be weird to like remake a painting or something like that.
Yeah. No, I really like the stools. I love stools in general, and I make shitty stools when I have time. There's something about a stool that
man, it just gets better.
What gets better?
Your stool making. You gotta keep progressing.
Oh no, I mean, I don't know why, but when I bust them out, they're almost intentionally as crude as I can make them. They're like just like a cathartic release. But I want to pursue them. I don't know why. I just like them. I like how they ask you to. They kind of meet you in the middle on like a chair, which kind of.
Oh, for sure. No, I have the same sentiment. And like, I wish I could make a chair, but a chair is way too like. There's just too much that goes on with it. A stool is like, you get a leg and a seat, and you're done.
But also, chairs, they pamper the sitter. A stool is like, you got to still maintain posture, engage core. The stool is just barely present. You know, it's just like a leg.
And I've sat in some pretty uncomfortable chairs before. So I don't know.
Oh no, I'm not saying that. But I do feel that chairs can weaken the sitter over time. But a stool, I mean, it's very simple. Very, very simple. And there's no, like you said, there's no angle of seating to consider. And I like the way you design the middle where there's kind of a little grab hole, as they say.
Yeah, I mean, those all came out really good. And it's funny because like, I was like renting out shop space from a couple friends, and this was also during the time when I had my show that was happening in Portland, and I just got stool crazy and just focused way too much time on making stools. And my studio mates are just all surprised, like, "Oh, you're not putting any of those stools in your show?" I'm like, "No, like these are just for fun. I was just having too much fun making stools."
They're very fun.
Yeah. So
people should make more stools, sentimental stools.
I mean, I think my whole like design ethos or manifesto, just basically designing for your own personal life. I feel like people should just make their own things that are more, you know, custom made to themselves, because you know you're the only person that's going to know how it feels, so you should be able to the one that makes it.
So am I to assume like your home is filled with your own work?
To a certain extent it is. I mean, I have like an IKEA bed frame just because,
sick.
It's a lot easier to buy an IKEA bed frame than spend maybe a week or two and just like X amount of money on lumber. But you know, I think ideally, like the vision that I have for my future and like would love to like create is just like the home that is filled with objects and like furniture like made by myself. Like, like the artist that comes to mind is always like JB Blanc and like his whole do you know JB Blanc?
No.
He's a California woodworker, known for making these large like redwood sculptures. I
do know this. Yeah.
And he has this complex or like a land, and he like built the house and like built all the furniture, and it's like been in like every design.
That's where I saw it. Yeah, just like Apartamento or some kind of design.
Yeah. So I mean, like something similar to that, and just like building out your life.
Stuff's really cool.
But yeah, that's what I'm kind of aiming for.
Would you build your home as well?
I would design it, but I don't know if I necessarily build it. See, here's the thing. I think a lot of people try to get mixed up when like, oh, when you say you're a woodworker, you're like, oh, can you build your house? Like, no, like it's different, man. Like I can build the furniture, but I can't build. I wouldn't consider myself like a contractor for like
gotcha
pouring foundation and whatnot. I'm sure I could do it, but I would not.
Well, yeah, it's not a question of technical skill. It's more a question of how holistic you're trying to get with it, So I think it's a logical leap of, like if I had an infinite lifespan, I'd definitely take a shot at building a house poorly. Definitely.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's crazy though. I think a hard reality is that, I don't know if it's a hard reality, but just like I think within our generation, like that doesn't seem very possible at all.
Yeah,
just the way things are. I mean, not to be like a downer, but at some point, I mean, that's a dream, and it's possible, but I don't know the likelihood of it.
What are these? Are you willing to say what these stools cost on average, or is that a secret?
I mean, I priced them out at 600. I think this is like what I was going for.
600?
Yeah.
That's not bad.
Not bad. I mean, it's hard to say, dude, especially I think with me, it's just like, I think it's always kind of interesting that like makers are making stuff that they can't even afford themselves.
I think that's very common.
Yeah, it's just a funny thing. But yeah, I think I priced them at 600. It seems pretty manageable.
I think so. You wouldn't buy a stool for $600?
It's hard, dude, because I'd be like, man, I could just make that myself.
Yeah, that's true too.
That's where I kind of come from. But I mean, if it's someone that I really respect and like really want to work, probably I'd cash out.
What's your favorite wood?
Oh man,
let's go.
Redwood probably at this point.
Oh wow, never even thought about that. So you work with a redwood, huh?
I mean, lately I have been like one of the stools was made from redwood, and it's just nice. It's not the most durable wood, but it's really pleasant, and like if you get the right grain, it's pretty beautiful.
You're a Cali man. Through and through.
It's hard, man.
It's beautiful.
That or like I'm also just like, I think my introduction to wood was walnut too. So I'm like, I kind of have a sore spot for walnut, but I think there's so much wood out there, man.
It's true. So can people reach out and like ask you to build things?
Not at the moment.
No, you don't want that.
At some point. No, it's like I have such a weird thing when it comes to commissions. And I feel like I think I've had that offer before, but I don't think I've ever taken one. Strangely enough.
It's interesting.
Yeah, I'm just I think I'm a brat.
Yeah, you're definitely like, you got the artist in you.
It's fucked sometimes, but
yeah, it's an interesting tension.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough too, because I also have like this weird complex where it's like, my greatest fear sometimes is just like, what if I just make something they don't like? And if they don't like it, I'm gonna be super bummed.
Yeah, it's perverse, but I
You know what I
understand.
mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
oh, can you make me a stool? And like, if I make them a stool, like what I would want, and like, it's like, no, this wasn't what I was really thinking about. I'm like, dude, like, soul crushed.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just so much easier to be like, all right, I want to make this. I'm gonna make it. There's no one else in the room. There's no one else like really, you go through the dilemma of just having too many chefs in the kitchen.
Yeah.
But when it's more like self-promoted, where I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna make this because I want to make it, and I think it might look cool, and like turns out looking cool. I'm like, all right, perfect. Like I can definitely sell this, or like I can let go of this. That's where I am at. But
no, yeah. That makes sense.
I just have too much paranoia about like, what if I make something really shitty?
Interesting.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't really do commissions. Sometimes I think, but you got to catch me on a good day.
Noted. Well, I gotta go to bed. This is the East Coast.
Right on.
But good to meet you.
Hey man, good meeting you.
All right, have a good night.
All right, take care.
Music by Dory Bavarsky and Mingja Chen. Next up, we have Sam DeRazio. Enjoy your week.